You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
You go to start a podcast episode. He's like, yeah, I'm ready. And then he has to go.
Bro, the AC was not hitting hard enough, bro.
Dude, I've got like a fan in the corner over there. I feel like it's not doing anything. I feel like it's just going on the back of my neck. My windows are open. My whole, like, I don't deal with heat well. I'm not a summer person. This heat is unbearable. This is the first time I put a top on in 2 days. And I nearly almost done this show topless. But I'm not trying to scare away, viewers and stuff. This is, if we weren't doing YouTube at the moment, I wouldn't have a camera on. I'll be in my boxers. Like, I'm not trying to subject anyone to that. This heat is horrible. And I can imagine what it's like, being the road team at Hard Rock Stadium in September, October when it's hot, but you're in like your dark colors. Nah, I'm not about that life at all. This is unbearable for me.
Hey, I was gonna ask the question, but I'm gonna just wait till we bring in the guest. We got a guest on the show, no stranger to the show, and I don't want to water down the intro because we appreciate this man for coming on every single time. But he's a fixture in the show, ladies and gentlemen. ShareRide Steve. ShareRide Steve, what's up, bro?
What's going on, boys?
You back?
I'm back, baby. Part 2.
Hey, it's hot down here right now, ain't it, Steve?
It is, man. I'm not one to complain about heat, but you don't want to be outside too long right now.
Yeah. So I was outside. I'm like, what? I might have to shower up before I get on this podcast. And it's funny, Kadeem, because back when we first started this podcast, that's how I really did do the podcast. I might be in bed just on the phone talking to Kadeem, and next thing you know, it's a podcast. That's pre-video, and now we got video. I had a question, y'all boys. How do you get the fortune inside the fortune cookie? Like, real talk.
It's a good question, man. I don't know.
I don't know either, bro. I was busting down some Chinese the other day, and I had to break it open. I'm like, how do they do this?
They probably just, I don't know, like cook around it, if that makes sense. It's like when you get those.
Nah, you acting, bro.
It's like anything with a different center inside it. Like I don't know, like
I think they just slide it in, man, after the cookie.
But I'm saying, like, if you're in mass production and you're in the factory and it's coming like, you know what I'm saying? I doubt there's one person at the end. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We gonna have to YouTube this thing.
I'm literally looking at Google right now to see how they get the fortunes inside. If you type in how they get the fortune, Google finishes it inside the cookie. Like, it must be a very, very.
Or they're just listening on our phones, and our phones be, finishing our sentences, because that's what they do now. Like, I could talk about a bucket hat. Next thing you know, when I get out this podcast, it's gonna be bucket hats in my Google search. That's how they do it.
There's too much to read, but
I'm gonna let Kadeem do him. But hey, ShareRide Steve, man, you back, bro? We got part 2 of the quarterback episode, the quarterback rankings. Hint to my co-host, if we could get some of the quarterback rankings on deck. I know last time we sprung it up on them. But anything that you took to digest, like, let me digest this a little bit and then come back to the show, and anything that you want to bring up off the top?
There's so much to go over. I don't have one thing to point out. I just want to say, when are you guys going to be going live? Because that last episode I listened to, I was itching, man, to jump in. It was, a lot to rebuttal. I'm excited about this, man. And like you said, this probably, is going to be part 2 and the finale, but this could go on forever.
Going live, we so this is the beginning of our third season on the podcast. First season of the podcast, it was all audio, and apparently, this is gonna sound weird, but me and Kadeem was doing it topless in our boxers.
You would do the topless. I always wear clothes. You would do the topless.
So it was a video. I was in bed just recording it on the phone on speaker, talking to Kadeem, and we was putting it out as audio. And then the second season just ended. It was our first season on YouTube, and I think that's where we got a lot of our subscribers. We really appreciate all you guys, and even the ones that are just audio listeners that been here from the beginning. Booming. I appreciate y'all too. So third season, we're actually trying to figure out how we can go live. It may not be a scheduled time, like, oh, we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at X amount of time, but every time we do record, we might go live. So we haven't figured it out. We haven't ironed out the kinks. You know, Kadeem is across the pond, 5-hour difference in the time zone. But I think going live would be cool. Chop it up with the fans, and then ShareRide Steve could chime in and be mad at us. And then I could just call ShareRide Steve on the phone, like live, like, hey, we're bringing you in right now. So that'll be pretty dope.
You guys do that to me. I just can't do it to you right now. So.
You can't. Hey, so before we get into this quarterback conversation, Chase Edmonds, running back Chase Edmonds, new addition to the Miami Dolphins, came out and said, basically, it's just this, the media storm around Tua and how come we haven't seen Alabama Tua. And Chase Edmonds, someone who hasn't been, I don't want to say in the family, but he just got here. And he's basically saying, look, I think he gets a bad rap, and he has a ton of weapons around him now. And this year, you guys are about to see Alabama Tua. Since we're talking about a quarterback ranking, I wasn't even going to go here, but what you make of Chase Edmonds coming out trying to defend the quarterback, Steve?
Just off-season talk, just guys trying to be leaders, guys trying to get the good vibes going, getting the positive energy in that locker room. It's just the same thing like Hill. I think every team does it. I don't care what market you're in. I guarantee you can go get quotes from the wide receivers, tight ends, any position. They're gonna compliment their teammates, which it's the right thing to do. And I think a lot of times it's genuine. And I think sometimes it's a little bit forced because the media forces it, right? They're the ones. What does he look like? What's he? What's going on? And they kind of are put in that position, but it's just the regular offseason chatter to me.
What do you think, Kadeem?
I think for 31 of the 32 NFL teams, it wouldn't even be a story. Like, ESPN, all these morning football shows wouldn't even discuss it. But since Tua has been drafted to Miami, we've heard the opposite. We've only heard people off the record say that Tua isn't it, Tua's holding us back and all that kind of stuff. I think that's why when Chase Edmonds or Tyreek Hill says something, it's kind of like overblown, and you get all these people turn around and say, well, hold on, they're only doing it because they're forced to and stuff like that. It's any other team, teammate defends teammate, you're like, okay, cool, whatever, we don't actually care. But in Miami, it's seen as a massive thing because Tua just hasn't had it. So listen, I'm glad, I guess, but yeah, it's all for nothing if come the season he's not playing what we all expect him to be playing like. And definitely before we jump into the quarterback stuff, obviously Minka left, first round pick, traded for a first round pick. He just got paid in Pittsburgh, and there's a lot of Dolphins fans saying that the Dolphins made a mistake. And imagine if we had Minka and, Javon Holland, and Minka's come out and said that Brian Flores is what the Steelers needed and all that kind of stuff. Exactly. The whole thing's hilarious. Steve, what do you make of Minka's deal when, looking back at it now, do you still think it was the right idea to get rid of him?
No, I don't think it was. I think he was he's what you're looking for when you hit rock bottom, and he's like a piece that, is going to bring you up. Solid character guy, good player, slipped in the draft probably, even picked at 13 or around there.
18, I think.
I don't think it was quite that.
11.
I mean, it doesn't matter. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm saying I think he was, you know, an elite prospect, and he slid to us a bit, and yeah, it's one of those things. Flores and him didn't 13.
11,
Oh, okay.
like I said.
But yeah, it's it's in the past. Personally, I'm not saying this to be a homer. I truly believe Holland is better, and I'm happy with where we're at now. But yeah, it's and especially let's just not sugarcoat it. We got a first round draft pick for him, and what did we do with that pick? So that's why it doesn't feel good. If we turn that into something, like another All Pro, yeah, wouldn't be so bad. But it didn't turn out well in that regard. So overall, no, it wasn't a good move for sure.
Touche's 24, Javon Holland was Minka's replacement. I think we wouldn't have went Javon Holland had we kept Minka because we already had Brandon Jones. It would have been Jones and Minka. So I don't think Holland would have been the pick if I remember everything correctly. But I mean, it is what it is. I do have a different outlook on Minka Fitzpatrick now. Post Flores, I think $18 million a year can smooth over some stuff. So you might have some complementary things coming from Minka with Flores, but I think Flores was the issue when Minka left. So I don't. Should we have kept him? I don't want to quote Mike Tomlin. I want volunteers. I don't want hostages. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not in the business of making someone play or not play, or I don't like that. I didn't like it when the Detroit Lions forced Barry Sanders to retire and then forced Calvin Johnson to retire. Like I don't like that. So if someone's not happy, I would prefer they come to the organization and we keep it quiet and then we trade someone. That way you could maximize the trade and not make it all public. But if it gets sloppy and gets messy, then it is what it is. So I don't want to keep anybody like that. How about this? George Kittle came out and said NFL should add another bye week. What you think about that?
I think that's something to look into. It would be a bridge, I think, to add even more games. As a Dolphins fan, holding on to that perfect season. That sounds appetizing. But yeah, these guys, they did a really good job, I think, the NFL with limiting the 2 a days. Like back in the day, it was rough on guys. And now we're seeing a guy like Tom Brady, guys that take care of their bodies, play well late in their careers. We never saw that in the past. So I think they are doing something right in that regard. Another bye week, I don't think I'd be that mad about it.
What you think, Kadeem?
Yeah, it's a funny one because obviously we added an extra league game, but we got rid of the 4th preseason game. So guys are still playing. Like technically, guys are still playing the same amount of games from the start of preseason to the end of the regular season. It doesn't quite work out that way because the 4th preseason was basically practice squad guys. So if you're, a first team or if you're a Tom Brady, then you probably are playing a full extra game, and especially at the, it's not a preseason game. But I think Steve here, right on the head, you chuck in an extra bye week, and the league will just go, we'll add an extra 2-3 games. We will find a way because there's a valid argument to be made that an extra bye week right now makes a lot of sense given the way the game is progressing and stuff like that. But with multiple sports, you give guys extra rest, and teams and the league will find a way to have you playing during that rest. And I'm based in England. For football fans, they kind of added in a winter break, and teams now use that winter break to travel. As we've lost ShareRide Steve, hopefully it's not for too long. Cool.
But yeah, go ahead. Winter break and travel. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. So like the English Premier League right now has added a winter break, and instead of teams using that time over winter to relax and spend time with the family, teams. Hey Steve. Teams use that break to travel to Dubai and get warm winter training, and then they have like a sneaky friendly. So an extra bye week will basically be, an excuse to add another 2-3 games, I guess.
I think that's where it's going. But I also Dolphins went 17-0, right? It was 17-0.
Yep.
So that means there's how many playoff games? There's a Super Bowl, there's an AFC Championship, there's a divisional round. I don't even know if they had buys in the playoffs back then, right? So I can't really, I don't really remember how many games was in the season back then. I off the top of my head, I thought it was 13 regular season games. I can be completely wrong. Matter of fact, if you could do this, I don't know if you're looking for it, Kadeem, but if I sent you a picture as well about the playoffs, if you could get that one ready. I know I'll be throwing curveballs at Kadeem. My bad.
So
shout out
Dolphins
to our,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Dolphins went 14-0 in the regular season, and okay. 3 playoff games. So
all right. So there was 14 games in 72. 14 regular season games in 72, and there was 1 bye. So now there's 18 weeks in the regular season now, and there's still 1 bye. I guess it doesn't really. We don't really need a bye right now yet, but I can see how we could use it, and then I can see how players can say, look, if you give us this bye, and then now owners a year or 2 from now will say, all right, then we're going to add 2 more games, and it should help out. Like you were saying, Steve, the CBA is way different. I think every practice back in the day was with pads, and with contact too. So now I don't remember I don't remember how many practices they're allowed to have a season. Padded practices, it might be like 18. I think padded practices like once a week, but you can use them where you want. It's a weird CBA now. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot different coming up. I think there will be an extra bye added within the next couple years. You got that playoff picture on deck, Kadeem?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah, it's cool. So while Kadeem gets this picture up, I know we was gonna go quarterback, but I had some questions for myself. I'm asking these questions on myself. Like, let me ask the fellas. Out of the playoff teams, and this is AFC only, out of the playoff teams that did not make the playoffs, obviously the Dolphins were one of the teams that didn't make the playoffs. Out of the teams that didn't make the playoffs, how many do you think make it this year? And out of the teams that obviously made the playoffs last year, how many you think don't make it? We just pulled it up. If you're listening to the audio version, check us out on YouTube. Share, like, and subscribe. Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. Charlie Touche, Kadeem Simmons, ShareRide Steve with us. Steve, what team or teams that made the playoffs last year will not make the playoffs this year? And then what teams sneak in this year? For those who are listening and can't see the graphic, the Raiders made the playoffs, the Bengals, the Patriots, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, KC, and the Titans made the playoffs. Which one of these teams are we omitting, Steve?
The first one for sure is the Steelers. They're definitely my number 1. Number 2, well, I don't really have to rank them, I guess, but New England and Tennessee. So it'd be Pittsburgh, New England, Tennessee. I do not see making the playoffs this year.
Pittsburgh, New England, and Tennessee. So you got the Colts winning that division?
I do.
I got the Colts winning that division as well, because Matt Ryan is a pretty good quarterback, although Kadeem doesn't think so. I got the Colts winning that division. What you think, Kadeem, about these the teams that won't make the playoffs?
I same as Steve, those 3, and then I think the Chargers sneak in over the Raiders, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders somehow manage to find a way to get back into the playoffs. But definitely, New England, Pittsburgh, and the Titans. But then I guess my wild card would be the Raiders.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all boys. I listen. I remember Steve came on the last quarterback rank and said, "Oh, you had all day. You had 4 months to look at my list." I'm like, Steve, bro, I had your list for 4 months, but I didn't really look at it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at this graphic the same way you guys are, and I'm hearing you guys. I'm like, I don't know, and I'm gonna be real with you. Shout out to our friend Tom that came on the podcast. He said, I don't know if Charlie is insane or genius. And I appreciate that because I told him I prefer insanely genius. So if we can make that work, I appreciate you, Tom. But I don't think the Raiders make the playoffs. I don't think the Titans make the playoffs. I don't think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs. I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs. And last but not least, I don't even think the Bengals make the playoffs. I know this is just a perfect segue for Steve, but I'm being real with you. I also don't think Watson really plays that much this year, if he plays at all. I think we're looking at a chance that Watson gets suspended the entire season. Like, I think that's a thing. So I would have either the Browns winning the division if Watson doesn't get suspended over 8 games. And then if he does, I have the Ravens winning that division. But Patriots aren't a thing. They got the lemon in Parker now. I don't think Pittsburgh would have it figured out soon enough with what's your boy Kenny Pickett. I think Treylon Burks is another. I don't know if you guys heard about Treylon Burks. Have you heard about Treylon Burks, Kadeem or Steve? The man isn't practicing and he has asthma and can't get on the field. Like this is a legitimate concern in Tennessee about their first round pick in Treylon Burks. And if you remember, what, 2 years ago, was it 3 years ago, they had a first round pick, or was it? Who was Isaiah Wilson? Where did he get drafted? Was it
first round pick?
First round pick in Tennessee. They blew it, like, man. So they got another one in Treylon Burks where I think the phones will be ringing a lot faster though. Like, and just so the listeners know, Treylon Burks was the big body receiver out of Arkansas that everyone thought was going to be used like either AJ Brown or Deebo Samuel. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. So he has asthma. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I got asthma, and I don't have no problems down here in the Sunshine State. So if Treylon Burks want to work something out, since they already paid him all that guaranteed bread, I think there's something there. But I wasn't high on Treylon Burks coming out. But I'm saying that's the thing. So anyway, about this playoff talk, I think I think the Ravens or the Browns win that division. I think you have the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers being legitimate, like 2 wild cards and a division winner coming out of there. Obviously, I think I got Miami coming back in. I don't even know if that's enough teams to replace the teams that I took out. But who you got coming back in, Steve? Just off the top of your dome, I know I put everybody on the spot.
Yeah, I like Baltimore this year. I think they're on a revenge tour. So that's the only slack I'll give you for the Bengals, possibly not making it, but even that, I don't see it happening. And I'm with you, Kadeem. Obviously, the Raiders are a bit of the wild card. Chargers and Broncos. I mean, that division's just so interesting. Someone's gonna putter, most likely. We just don't know who, and then I don't see anyone running away with it. It's tough, man. This has to be the hardest year to pick for the AFC. I mean, honestly, like you can make a legit argument for over half of the division, and I mean legit argument. I mean, the Patriots and Steelers to me are the ones where you can, it's easy to argue against. But there's just more teams like the Colts, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Dolphins that should be in than teams coming out. So it's so difficult, man. That's why, I love the Dolphins this year, but it's a rough time to try and make the playoffs.
I think the Dolphins have a little sneaky loophole, like a fast track. Obviously, I think the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chiefs beat themselves up. And I don't think Chiefs win the division. I think the Chargers win that division. But I think there can be 2 wild cards that come out of there. But with Miami coming up, I think we have the best wild card, the first of the wild cards, if I could use that. I think the Chargers or the Broncos and the Chiefs will beat each other up so bad. That division will beat each other up so bad that their records, like you said, no one's going to run away with it. But the Dolphins are going to have a chance to win the division, and just we won't win the division because of Buffalo be so tough. But what you think, Kadeem? Who gets in, or where they get in at?
So like you mentioned, how many games Watson plays is a massive factor as to, whether the Browns make it or not. I think, like you guys mentioned, the Ravens are an interesting one because they will want a revenge tour. Lamar Jackson will want to have the best season of his career so he can get paid money. The Steelers are an interesting one. Even though I tipped them to not make the playoffs, I don't think Mike Tomlin has had a losing season while he's been there. Now, obviously, he's had Big Ben, he's had all this kind of stuff, but the Steelers seem like that kind of team who will just find a way to win enough games, not to necessarily make the playoffs, but enough games to at least have a winning record. And if Watson doesn't play any games, you look at that division, you kind of go, well, the Browns could easily finish last because someone bummy is going to play quarterback. The Bengals might have that down year after that Super Bowl run. Again, won't be bad, but they'll mess up enough to allow the Steelers to sneak in. I still don't think the Steelers make it. In terms of guys going in, yeah, Miami, I'd say the Chargers, I'd say the Ravens. And now that I think about it, again, it's how we speak about the AFC West being so good. The North is so bad with the Texans and the Jags. That the
South. That's the South. That's the
South. So yeah, South is so bad that again the Titans might find a way to just beat up on their division and win enough games. So it's if there's ever an argument and a year to allow the AFC to have extra teams and NFC to lose teams, this is it. Because there can be some bad NFC teams making the playoffs and some amazing AFC teams, not making it. So, an online petition to have the AFC get more spots from the NFC, I guess.
Yeah, that's a pretty good conversation. I took out 5 teams. I took out the Titans, took out the Steelers, took out the Patriots, took out the Bengals, took out the Raiders, and I'm replacing them with the Colts, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Broncos.
Chiefs already there.
The Broncos, and yeah. So I guess one of these boys might hang around. So, all right. Yeah, I told you I didn't put too much time into that, but yeah, I think we got a mess, and I like it because I think we have a chance to go over 5-12. But all right, man. I was kind of procrastinating this time. It's time, Steve. If we could put up my list next to ShareRide Steve list, Kadeem, and we could get the show on the road. I think you had what did you Charlie Wilson was on the show on the last episode, Steve, and you said you was chomping at the bit. Where does chomping at the bit come from? Chomping at the bit. Why would people say that? Y'all say that in England, Kadeem?
Yeah, we do.
Where does it come from?
Listen, I didn't realize that Swiss cheese came from Switzerland, so you asking me that. I'm not the one.
All right, but Steve was chomping at the bit. What came out of the last episode that you wanted to chime in on, Steve?
Well, there's a lot, but I'm just gonna say that this has turned into the Tua debate more than the overall QB rankings. But I'm gonna say it, man. There's one guy that none of us are fans of, but I gotta compare him to you, Charlie. Because this is what your list is.
What's up?
It's comparable to Chris Sims. And I'll tell you why. Yeah, I know. I'll tell you why. Because you just have Tua 10 spots ahead. He has Tua basically 10 spots behind where I have him. You guys are just polar opposites, but very comparable. They're essentially 10 spots away from where I have them picked. So I just don't see how you're just gonna die on this hill of saying he's a number 10 because you got Watson in there. But when he throws 35 plus touchdowns and he puts up a great year and has the great record, would he not catapult into top 5 status then?
Charlie,
you can't have you can't double your stats in a good way, positive way, and stay at the same spot? Is my question to you, Charlie.
So you were gonna say something, Kadeem? I got you, Steve. I got you.
It's funny Steve said that because one of my questions was basically going to be that if Tua matches what you expected from him last year and gets 35 touchdowns, where would that put him on your list? And the same way, if Tua has another season like this year in terms of stats wise, the plays, let's say, okay, completes a full season, but he's not Alabama Tua. Would you then keep him in your top 10? And this isn't genuinely not a trying to trick you or anything like that. It was a genuine question as to
Bro, I like all the I want shout out to my dog ShareRide Steve. I say, hey Steve, bro, when do you think you could come back on the show to have part 2 of the quarterback rankings? You know what, Steve? Text me, Kadeem. When do you want the smoke? I want all the smoke, bro. Like, give it to me. Like, whenever you can give it to me, I want the smoke. So, hit me with the trick questions. Like, there's no trick questions. Like, listen, if I was really just trying to be this person who was just trying to he just wants clicks, it's different. But I'm here for this. You know what I'm saying? So here's my thing. When Josh Allen made that leap, he was a legitimate MVP candidate when he made that leap. He got Diggs and he made the leap. Now, am I saying Tua will be an MVP candidate? I don't know. And I'm going to tell you why. He may not be asked to do so much to where he can show, oh, this is who I am now. You know what I'm saying? This is who I've always been, right? So now I'm an MVP candidate. He might not even be asked to do it because we might not need him to do that. You see what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean he's not capable of doing it. Now, whether he does it or not, I believe he's capable of it, and that's why I have him ranked where I have him ranked. Now, to answer Steve's question is, what happens if he does perform the way I think he's going to perform? I think you remove Tom Brady's not going to be a top 10 quarterback this year. And y'all can come at me. 12 is not going to be a top 10 quarterback this year. This season, it's not going to happen. I think Matt Stafford that's my dog. Matter of fact, you see shout out to everybody listen to the audio version. The graphics are up once again. Please come check us out on YouTube. We got the graphics just sitting here so you can see all the lists. ShareRide Steve's list has a graphic of an image of Joey Bullets. My list has an image of Matt Stafford. I love Matt Stafford. Back when Adam Gase was the Dolphins coach, he inquired about Matt Stafford to Matt Patricia when he was the head coach. So there was a chance Matt Stafford could have become a Miami Dolphin. I'm a huge Matt Stafford proponent. I think Matt Stafford is hungover right now. Like, yo, I finally did it. I got the AT&T commercial, wink, wink, all this good stuff. They'll always be in my heart. They're going to fall back a little bit. So I don't think Matt Stafford will be a top 4 quarterback like he is right now. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Joey Bullets regresses. I think Tom Brady regresses. I think Matt Stafford regresses. And you have Tua, what's that? And I think Watson is Watson. I don't know what we're going to get. I don't think Watson is a top 5 quarterback this season. Coming up this season, I don't think Watson's top 5 quarterback. So that'll put Tua in the about top 6 quarterback range this year of the league, if that happens. But again, I don't think they need him to do that. If you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, the system that Jimmy Garoppolo was in is the same system that Tua is in right now. Jimmy Garoppolo was one pass away, an overthrown pass to Emmanuel Sanders away from being a Super Bowl champion. I think that's what they're going to ask Tua to do. Yo, just make the throws. They're not going to ask him to, hey, go win us the game. I don't think 17 games. I don't know how many games we're going to be in a position for Tua to go win the game. So is he capable of it? 100%. Does he have to do it? I don't think he will as much as you guys think he will. Did I run from the question, Kadeem?
No, not really. I was going to say, and again, just so I'm clear, so you expect about 3 of your top 10 to regress, yeah?
Yes.
And would that kind of automatically push Tua into a top 6 quarterback if he has another season like last year? Or is that they will regress and Tua will progress so that it's undeniable that he's a top 6, even if those guys play the same level, if that makes sense?
So just being real, like I love Dak too. Dak is number 7 on my list right now. Technically 8 because Deshaun Watson isn't on this graphic. So if I'm just being real with you, Dak O-line is not the same. And he's missing weapons. So if we have the weapon conversation for Tua and we have the weapon conversation for Zach Wilson, it's only fair to have it for every quarterback. Like, yo, Kyler Murray's not going to look that good this year. He's not. He don't have DeAndre Hopkins for a while. Yeah, he got his boy from college in Hollywood, but that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So Kyler Murray's not really going to be on Tua's heels. Tua just got the weapons. He got Tyreek Hill. He has Waddle now. He has Cedric Wilson. Bro, it's going to be – I don't have the Dolphins going far in the playoffs for nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. So Dak might regress as well. I don't think if – and look at this. All right. We got Watson's probably not going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. Dak is 7th on my list. He's going to regress. I got Joey Bullets drinking the juice a little bit. He's going to regress. Matt Stafford regresses. That doesn't automatically put Tua up there, but it's like with the weapons, who's behind him that can surpass Tua? Like on this list, Lamar Jackson with Rashad Bateman, he's gonna do something to be better than Tua on my list. Kyler Murray, I doubt it. Matt Ryan, they only have one receiver over there. Derek Carr could do something, but I don't think it's going to be enough to pass Tua on my list. So, yeah, Justin Herbert can come up on this list too. So, y'all think I'm a Justin Herbert hater, which I'm absolutely not. Justin Herbert could be a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, this year too. So, y'all probably already have him at top 5, but I'm just saying he could be a top 5 quarterback this year too. So, in essence, to not talk so long, I believe Tua is a top 10 quarterback now, and at the end of the season we're about to play, he can be a top 6 quarterback for sure.
So I think it's funny that you have Justin Herbert at 14 and you think he can be a top 5 quarterback after passing for like 35 plus touchdowns, 5,000 plus yards, and then have a winning record. So he'll win maybe 2 more games this year. He goes from 14 to top 5. Is that a natural jump for just winning a game or two? You go from a middle of pack guy to an elite top 5 guy. Explain that to me.
Josh Allen went from trash to MVP candidate. He made a bigger jump. Josh Allen made a bigger jump.
Herbert's not trash.
No, that's my point. Josh Allen was trash and then became an MVP candidate. He made a bigger jump than the jump Herbert's going to make.
You're over years and years.
It was not years, bro. Josh Allen was trash in the NFL, and then he was an MVP candidate when he got Diggs.
Yeah, and that was.
Am I tripping?
Year 4 or 5. Herbert's going in year 3.
It was year 3, Steve. Year 3 is when he made the leap.
Okay. It was year 3.
He was trash for 2 years.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying though. So Herbert's gonna jump up to top 5 status because he's gonna win 1 or maybe 2 more games this year. Because his stats are there. His stats are undeniable.
Yeah, but it's more than we see. We know this. There's this now. What's the criteria? We all know the criteria is the stats. It's the wins. It's the eye test. It's a bunch of it's arm strength. It's accuracy. It's yeah. Check them off, Steve. Hey, for everyone listening, Steve got the little checklist. He's just checking everything off that I'm saying for Herbert, which is cool. That's dope. And I'm not a Herbert hater. I'm not, but I'm just saying you can't have this team and have all the stats, i.e. Kirk Cousins, and have no playoffs. That has to outweigh something. Kirk Cousins has all the stats too, Steve.
Your Allen comparison is Allen did not throw for 35 plus touchdowns, 5,000 plus yards. He didn't have those numbers.
Fact check. Can you help us out, please?
He didn't have the record. He didn't have the numbers. It's a terrible comparison.
All right, that's fair.
He made a massive jump from his rookie year to year 3 or 4. No doubt, he made
it's year 3. Jump. What was Allen's stats and record in year 3 when he made the MVP league, MVP candidate league? Kadeem.
No, and what season 2 is more accurate.
Okay, so right, we've got Josh Allen in his rookie year. Played 12 games, 5-6 record, 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Right, year 2.
I'm sorry, I missed that. How many yards? How many touchdowns? How many interceptions?
2,074 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Okay.
And I believe he also got 8 rushing touchdowns as well. So
Right.
2019, his second year, we've got played all 16 games, went 10-6. Reached a postseason as well. They lost, obviously. He threw for 3,089 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 9 rushing touchdowns. 2020, 13-3 record, 4,544 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 8 rushing touchdowns. Obviously made the postseason.
Bro, who was the MVP that year? If he didn't get it, like, this is a legit question. Like, who? I need to know that. Like, Steve, did you hear those numbers?
Oh, Lamar Jackson, I think.
Oh, Lamar Jackson was the MVP that year. Damn,
No,
Lamar Jackson broke the rushing record.
2020 was Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron, it is what it is. Like, it's crazy. I don't even need to know Aaron Rodgers' stats. You just said Aaron Rodgers. You just have an idea of what he probably did. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, that might have been one of them 5,000-yard seasons he's had.
I'm gonna double check because like he probably. NFL
Josh Allen had 4,500 yards and 32 touchdowns, bro. And then 8 on the ground or something like that. Come on, Steve.
37 touchdowns in the year, 8 on the ground. Aaron Rodgers, 2020. I nearly swore.
Well, he had like 5,500 yards passing.
4,299 yards passing. Yeah, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like.
To be fair, both of those are video game numbers, bro.
Oh,
they're both astronomical, bro. So all I'm saying is, Steve, yeah, he was trash his first season, and in the second season, the eye test wasn't there. I guess the numbers were decent in the second season.
No, he was trash.
Okay, whatever.
20 touchdowns in the year.
I'm just saying they still made the playoffs, so people can argue for that. But 13-3, his MVP candidate year. To be fair, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go Aaron Rodgers, he's going to win that MVP. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for Herbert to be in his third season now. Herbert would be in his third season and make a leap like, yo, I've had these weapons for 2 seasons. Why can't I be super nice? I think Herbert can do it, but he hasn't done it, and that's why my list reflects as such.
I'm just going to bring up Herbert's stats.
Yeah.
Year
1. Yeah, let's go. Year 1 and year 2. Let's go.
You're going to get these padded Herbert stats. Let's go. Come on.
Year 1.
Bring it to me.
6-9 record, 4,336 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. Second season to last year, 9-8 record, 5,014 yards, 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and a further 3 touchdowns on the ground.
How many interceptions?
15.
30 touchdowns?
38.
Steve, how many touchdowns? No, this is real, legit. How many touchdowns?
Bro.
How many touchdowns did I say Tua was going to have last year?
35.
How many did Herbert have?
38.
Why is it why was it so, there's no way Tua was going to have 35 touchdowns? Listen, if you have a team like, hold up. If you have a team like Herbert did his first season where they were down in every single game and he had to throw 500 yards a game and still lose 10 games, they still lost 10 games. So those stats are skewed, bro. Those aren't real quarterback stats. Those are garbage time. No one's playing defense no more stats. So now you got his second year, which I thought if you put the right pieces around Tua, we should have a decent O-line. You should put weapons around him. I could give him 35. Herbert got 38. Like, why? I'm not saying nothing too crazy, bro.
The Chargers had a trash offensive line his rookie year. Trash. Go back and look. Kadeem could fact check right now where they ranked with a trash O-line. He put up the numbers, not because he's just behind. The man can single-handedly carry a team.
What are you talking, Steve? It's because they were behind. They were 6-10.
Tua ain't doing that, bro.
That's subjective. We're talking about facts right now. The fact is they were 6-10. There's a lot of garbage time stats in there.
They were 7-9.
7-9. My bad. My fault. I thought you said 6. Oh, Josh Allen was 6-10 his first year, right? But my bad. I heard a 6-10 somewhere, but the Chargers was 7-9.
So Herbert was 6-9.
All right, Herbert was 6-9.
Yeah,
cool. Herbert was 6-9 first season. All kind of garbage time. Where the wins at? If we talking about wins, we talking about stats. Because Tua's wins are better than Herbert's wins. Tua's interception ratio is better than everybody else's. Like, yo, why?
Okay, and then I'll segue. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying, at what point do we say, all right, well, look at what Herbert had to work with and look what Tua had to work with? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so I'll segue with the other thing that was crazy with the Trevor Lawrence. And Kadeem, I gotta throw you under the bus a little bit on this one. You said you guarantee that Tua has had a better game than Trevor Lawrence's last game. The Colts were win and you're in. This was not 1-2-3 Cancun, like you guys said on the episode. That was not the situation. They were the Colts with Taylor, a top 3 running back in the league. I think everyone would say that. You got Leonard, top 3 middle linebacker in the league. Everyone would say that. Nelson on the line, best offensive lineman in the game. They have talent galore around them. They had a very good squad. Why do you think they're going to win the division this year? And Trevor Lawrence had a very nice, efficient beatdown win against the Colts. And it was a beatdown. And now he beat your boy Wentz. You have at 15. Don't know why he's that high. Very confusing to me. But you guys want to tell me that game in KC where, Tua had awful weapons on the outside and we were banged up. I do get that. But the defense showed up that day. And
apparently they didn't, Steve.
Come on, man. Xavier Howard didn't have ESPN top 10 highlighted. Baker didn't have an amazing 30-yard lost sack. Even your boy, the Stonehands Jones, not trying to dog him. I'm a fan of Jones, but the man can't catch a ball if you just, if it got stuck in his shoulder pads, man. Like, the guy can't catch. He even got picked that game. Like, the defense was on point that game. That's what kept us in that game, man. It wasn't dialing it up all day and night. Yes, he was solid, but he wasn't start to finish solid.
What's interesting, so I'm just looking at the Chargers. So Justin Herbert's rookie season and the Chargers games. This isn't go time Chargers, but I'm just looking at, when their points came. I'm just looking at by week. And there's quite a few games where the Chargers in the third and fourth quarter don't really, in the fourth quarter, in terms of garbage time. I'm looking at their games, throughout the season. 0 points in the fourth quarter, 7 points in the fourth quarter, 3 points in the fourth quarter, 6 points in the fourth quarter. Like, just taking a look, and obviously I'm not looking at the full game, just looking at when the Chargers scored their points. It's not much in the fourth quarter. And that, like, again, I'm not trying to defend Justin Herbert. I'm a massive Justin Herbert fan, but these aren't, fourth quarter garbage time points. These are. Hold
on. I'm gonna cut you off though. The fourth quarter you should be looking at is fourth quarter stats, not fourth quarter points. Like, you could have all third and fourth quarter. You could have 260 yards and not get no points out of it. Like, that's padding your stats. Like, I'm not saying they had these extravagant fourth quarters where they put up points. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they were sorry, they were trash, and he has to come back. Like, these are matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be third and fourth quarter.
Hold on. So if they're trash and having to come back but not scoring points, that's totally counterproductive. Like, how are you coming back but not scoring points?
That's how you lost. That's why he's 6-9.
But
you're not scoring points. You can have a whole bunch of yards and not score points.
But he still managed, 31 touchdowns that season? And these touchdowns aren't coming in the fourth quarter. They're coming, while the game is still close, if anything. Like, it's not like he's scoring 14 points every fourth quarter because they have to get back into the game.
But those are points, though. But what about if you're not scoring points in the third and fourth quarter? You said that means you're coming back because you're not winning. If you're not scoring points in the third and fourth quarter, you're still putting up stats in the third and fourth quarter. What we should be looking at is the stats of the third and fourth quarters of these games. But like you said, it's not go time Chargers. But I'm saying for that argument, it would be the stats of the third and fourth quarter if you're down in those games.
Or you can look at it as it's a young quarterback who comes out on fire, and then a veteran defense that he's playing against makes adjustments, and his numbers decline as the game goes on, which is very logical in my opinion. Like, you see a guy that you've never seen before, you're not used to him, you adjust to him. There's no way you can say 30-plus touchdowns. Oh, he padded his stats with just yards then in the fourth. Like, come on.
Those touchdowns, you can. Like, 30, there was plenty games where Justin Herbert lost and had 400 yards passing.
Charlie, all I'm saying is if we were to really dive in deep, you could go deep analytics here and look what percentage of yards came in the fourth, what percentage of yards came in the third. You could get those analytics. I'm not saying we're doing it right now, but if you are a betting man at time to time, I don't think you would, with great confidence, put a lot on the line with saying, it's a high percentage of everything is in the fourth and third quarter.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's a high percentage that his yardage was when they were down. Doesn't matter what they did in the third and fourth quarter. Just the yardage comes when they're down. I don't care what quarter it is, actually. You know what I'm saying?
That doesn't really count as garbage time stats because garbage time.
Now that's fair. I'll give you that. Give you that. It doesn't count as garbage time stats. But if you're getting blown out, if you're down 17 the whole game and you're trying to come back and the other defense isn't playing you, it's almost like garbage time isn't just the third and fourth quarters. Like, yo, we're beating this team. So they're always trailing. They're always trying to catch up. That's fair about it. It's not garbage time. So I'll be fair about that. But
so Marino's numbers, they're just okay because he's had a garbage defense his whole career and he had to just throw.
So he was winning though. He was winning though. There was a difference. Herbert wasn't winning this. Herbert wasn't winning. Marino was winning.
We're behind.
Marino was winning though. There's a difference. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate. Like that's the ultimate. Like that decides the whole conversation. Were you winning these games or you losing these games? I was going to say I appreciate you bringing that jersey back on for this episode.
Yeah, one more time.
Appreciate it. But look, let's go to Trevor Lawrence. You got Trevor Lawrence 15th over Tua.
Yeah.
And we alluded to the KC game. The KC game where Tua put this pass on Gesicki's hands over 6 other hands. Like, yo, it was the most. Like, did you guys see that type pass? Right
down the middle. I remember it like yesterday.
Yeah. And we were 4 minutes away from tying the game up. The last 4 minutes we were in the game. It was a 1-possession game. We were on I think we're on the goal line, maybe with something like that. I can't remember. But so we're in that game. So it's not all just the Arizona game. Yo, there's games, and this is with Antonio Callaway. Was your receiver a running back that's not in the league no more? Started that game at running back. Preston Parker wasn't in that game. No surprise there. There was nobody. There was Gesicki. Like everyone like to say about the receiver talk. Gesicki was your only weapon in that game. For real. About Trevor Lawrence though, Steve, don't do this, bro. You cannot sit here with a straight face and tell me Trevor Lawrence had a better season than Tua last year.
A better season? Trevor, as your entire argument is Tua his whole career is he is in a bad position, coaching and personnel. That's really your
right. This different criteria. I'll be fair. This criteria. Yeah. And
I will say Trevor Lawrence is in a worse position, coaching wise, without question. Horrific.
No, there's question there. Who was Tua's coaches? Who was Tua's coaches on offense?
Forrest was the head coach. I'm just going to talk. You want to break down the assistant coaches and the water boys? Let's go ahead. But
even Brian Flores was sabotaging him. So like that's not there's question. It's not without question.
You don't think Urban Meyer just sabotaged the entire team?
Yes, he did for sure. Urban Meyer's terrible. I man, you know I'm here for that. I'm here for the Urban Meyer bashing. Sign me up.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I knew he was going to fail. Like that was no surprise to me. But you can't tell me that Trevor Lawrence is in an equal position. I'm just going to disagree because at the end of the day, at least you had a foundation of experienced NFL coaches on the team. Yes, the offensive coordinator situation was a disaster, and if we
O-line
went
worse than the
back
league.
nitpick,
Yeah.
but don't tell me that he was in a better situation than Tua, because I just can't have it. No way.
No, he wasn't in a better. I didn't say that he was in a better situation. I'm just saying it's questionable, like the situation. But how about this though? Help me understand this. Trevor Lawrence stunk up the joint last year. That's not hearsay. That's a fact. He was trash last year. Zach Wilson was trash last year. Robert Salah has come out and said a week ago, we don't need Zach Wilson to be Tom Brady this year. Like, Tua never got that. The whole house isn't coming down on Zach Wilson right now. The house isn't coming down on Trevor Lawrence right now. And you can make the argument that Tua was in a worse position than both of them when Tua was a rookie. And they were both rookies last year. So how come the world isn't coming down on Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence right now the way it did on Tua?
You have a Dolphin podcast. You talk to Dolphin fans on the regular. I guarantee you in New York, they are worried about Wilson. They have questions. They have concerns. Daniel Jones, just ask that poor soul. That man, he's got to get out of bed every day and face the music like nobody's business. And I mean, I know Tua gets it bad, but I guarantee you in everyone else's markets, there's quarterbacks that are playing subpar, get criticism as well. Let's be
That's
fair.
their market, though. We could just talk about the national market. Tua was always on the news. Danny Nichols is no longer in the news. Zach Wilson he's kind of there. You don't hear a peep on the national scene about Trevor Lawrence, bro. Like, you forgot Trevor Lawrence was even a rookie last year on the national market.
Because there's no expectations. They don't have.
So what was the expectation for Tua then?
When Brian Flores wins 5 games with a JV team that has no business of even taking the field, yes, expectations are high when you have a legit coach. Now you're bringing in a legit star quarterback, top 5 pick in a draft. Expectations are going to be raised.
With no offense. Zero offense. Nobody was on that offense.
You said 35.
We had Mike Gesicki. We had Mike Gesicki on that offense.
Touchdowns last year. Let me get this straight. You're very good at evaluating quarterbacks, but you're not very good at offensive line, because the offensive line didn't change.
The entire offensive line except for Robert Jones regressed. The entire offensive line, and I'm sorry. What I say?
Robert Jones.
My bad. Robert Hunt. So, but everyone knows the OC coach was like, I don't want to call him no names. Everybody knows the OC coach was questionable. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows Flores. The fix was in. It was rigged. Like, we should have.
But I wasn't saying 35 touchdowns.
Right, but I didn't know he was getting set up. I didn't know the fix was in, Steve. I didn't know it was rigged. I didn't know they was gonna keep Jesse Davis at right tackle the whole time. I didn't know that.
I knew there was question marks. There was things to be seen. We wanted to see how that offense line was going to play together, but I knew that Tua needed help, and I knew that if people played like trash and if we had injuries, we're going to be in trouble. If you pick a top 5 guy on this list, top 10-ish, they can survive injuries well. The middle of pack and bottom guys, they can't survive injuries. They can't survive regression and poor play.
Steve.
That's why Tua being at 9 is difficult for people to accept.
Steve.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us on this podcast. I love y'all boys to death. Like, I love y'all a lot, man. I think about y'all in my free time. I'm like, man, we got to chop it up with the boys. I want to text you all the time, but it keeps the podcast healthy if I don't text as much, right? Listen, all 3 of us with no NFL experience, with no high school coaching experience, you know what I'm saying, can sit here right now and tell the world on this podcast that none of us would allow Jesse Davis to continue to play right tackle last year. Why did the entire coaching staff of the Miami Dolphins allow that to go so long, so far? Like, come on, bro. I did not know the fix was in, and we were going to have a turnstile at right tackle, and my dog's ribs were going to get broken. I had no idea.
Fitzpatrick didn't have a problem with it.
Ryan Fitzpatrick's right tackle was Jesse Davis?
Bro, it was some guy that we.
And he was a 15-year veteran, but I'm just saying.
He was the UPS driver the week before. That
You're right.
man,
I'm just saying.
he made. That's what I'm saying. Like you have to, if you're gonna make a guy a top 10 guy, you got to overcome injuries. You have to carry a team when you have weaknesses. Tua's just not that guy.
Bro, there's only we've sat here on this podcast and said there's only like 15 real quarterbacks in the league anyway. But if you look at my list, I was about to call you Tua. If you look at my list, Steve, who's behind them other than Justin Herbert that you're probably going to clamor for? That is really like, all right, Tua's not top. Oh, well, we can just go to your list.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
we can just go to your list. None of these people are top 10, Steve. That's in front of your quarterback, in front of Tua. None of them. Matt Ryan's not better than Tua right now. You got Danny Nichols in front of Tua. Right, stop it, bro.
I do.
Listen, everyone listening to the podcast. Steve has Daniel Jones in front of Tua. Danny, formerly known as Danny Dimes. Charlie Touche calls him Danny Nichols, is ahead of Tua on Steve's list.
You want to tell? To me, he's just been dealt a terrible hand. I look at his wideouts. Look at his O-line has been horrific, and Barkley can't stay healthy. Like, he is the same argument you have with Tua. I think
Steve,
the guy's athletic.
If we're being real, Tua has had it worse than Danny Nichols. Tua has had the worst O-line. Danny Nichols has never had the worst O-line. Tua has had no running back. Danny Nichols has had no running back. Danny Nichols' receivers was better than Tua's. That's factual.
What about coaching?
Well, let's go to bro. You talking about the coach that's not even the coach no more?
We'll see what Brian. I'm not even a big Brian Daboll guy, but we'll see what he does with Brian Daboll. This will be the year.
What he does with Brian Daboll, bro. Danny Nichols not better than Tua, Steve.
Thus far he's had moments, and Tua has not had moments.
Bro, you got Trevor Lawrence at 15, McCorkle Jones at 16, Danny Nichols at 17. And Tua at 19. Bro, come on, Steve.
Maybe. All right. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not going to fight you on Danny Dimes at 17. I could drop him down 5 spots. That would be it.
That's fun, though.
I mean, I don't even know. We're looking at your list. I'm looking at Josh Allen at 5. I got him at 4, I guess. But
yeah, I got Josh Allen at 5.
It gets a little tough at the top. I'll give you that. But Matt Ryan at 12. If you were that high on Matt Ryan, I don't know why you weren't pounding the table for us trading for him years ago. I mean, I think
what do you mean years ago? Like around when?
I don't know, like 2 years ago.
Pre-tour? Post-tour?
After
I wanted Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Pre-tour, I wanted Matt Stafford. I was like, yo, we need to trade for Matt Stafford. Adam Gase, I might have some receipts out there on Facebook. Adam Gase was the quarterback. I'm sorry. Adam Gase was the coach, and it was actually, this might happen. And even when the year Tua was coming out, I still wanted Matt Stafford and Tua to sit behind Matt Stafford. Like, that's what I was going for. But prior to that, I wanted to trade the house for Kyler Murray. Like, but things, it is what it is.
And then with Carson Wentz at 15, please explain that one. The one he had to beat Jacksonville with the best running game in football.
I don't know if this is PG or not, but he pissed down his leg, Steve. Like, he wet the bed, bro. Like, you can't. The only reason they got covered up was because Tua had a worse game that same week. That's the only, and Tua is more national than Carson Wentz. Like, for some reason, the national media like to get on the Dolphins and Tua. So Tua was the one. Oh, the Dolphins didn't go to the playoffs because Tua lost the last game of the season or the game before last. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like all on Tua. Like, Carson Wentz wet the bed bad that game.
His bed has been wet for a long time. It wasn't just that game, man.
But you cannot deny that Carson Wentz was a part of the reason they went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, no, he had an amazing year, but that was a lot of years ago.
It was, but again, who's behind Carson Wentz that should be ahead of him. Let's just compare everyone behind Carson Wentz on my list. Kirk Cousins, if I have one game, dang, coming off of what I just said about him wetting the bed, I just like Carson Wentz to figure it out more than I like Kirk Cousins. If I have, all right, let's pick a team. Like let's just say, let's say the Dolphins.
Ryan Tannehill at 21, man.
Ryan Tannehill don't do nothing. He
didn't do it. Number 1 seed in the AFC. Number 1 seed.
You're gonna say you
pounding on the door to the Super Bowl.
The same Ryan Tannehill that the whole world knows is responsible for losing the playoffs is not the reason that they were the number 1 seed, bro. They have King Henry in Tennessee, bro.
And was he available last year?
But no, but they had King
and they
Henry
were still the number 1 seed. So don't tell me that he picked up the slack half the year.
Let's talk about your list, Steve. How about that? Let's talk about your list. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers at 5.
Yeah.
The reigning, defending, heavyweight MVP of the world, Aaron Rodgers is at 5.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you have, Allen,
you have
cool.
No,
Mahomes, Brady, okay. You have Joey Bullets at 1 on your list.
True story. I do.
So how is, please tell the world how Joey Bullets is better than Aaron Rodgers today.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, who I am a huge fan of, I really am. Let me just say, pure passer. He and Marino are right. Marino's number 1, but I put Rodgers as number 2. Mahomes is obviously battling in that mix, but Rodgers just has the longevity. Rodgers had the best wideout in the game. So let's start there. Very good running backs, excellent offensive line, solid tight end, a really good supporting cast around him. And then Jimmy G went in his house and took him down. And the bottom line is, if you're going to play the game, which everyone says on the list, if I got to win one game, my life depends on it. How are you going to put Aaron Rodgers number 1 when we just saw Jimmy G take him down with Adams, Jones in the backfield, Dillon in the backfield, a solid, very good offensive line in Green Bay, a very hard place to win. I was there. I've seen it. I felt it. The place is real. It's live. It's lit. You're going to tell me that he should be number 1 when he just lost to your number 32? That's why I have him at 5 and not higher. It hurts me to put him at 5, but it's just the facts.
We're going to go on the bonus time. But before we go on the bonus time, ShareRide Steve, my dog, not your dog, my dog, ShareRide Steve, said, 1 game to win to save your life. Your life is on the line, and you have 1 game to win. And ShareRide Steve is sitting here on Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. It's telling the world that for that 1 game to save ShareRide Steve's life, he would rather have Joey Bullets over Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'm going to say. Listen, we're going into bonus time. Steve, bro, you know we could do this for the next 2 hours, bro. We could have a whole, bro, this could be the podcast for the whole next week, but it's not going to be. We appreciate you coming on. We're about to get into bonus time. Kadeem Simmons jumped in the back seat and just said, I'm gonna let you guys ride shotgun. Shout out to Kadeem, the best producer in the podcast world. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche and ShareRide Steve. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. All right.
Make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time.
What you got, Steve?
I'll respond to the text message you sent me the other day.
Yeah, you know, I did. I asked Steve. Unlike my friend here, Kadeem Simmons, I still call him my friend. He's my friend. unlike my friend Kadeem Simmons, like I like, there's certain questions I prefer not to put people on blast with. You know what I'm saying? I'm just be real. Like, you never know who's in whose family, whose circumstances are what, whose situation and whose setting is what. You know what I'm saying? So I asked ShareRide Steve, I like, bro, between me and you were a proponent of having Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? And when it was hitting the fan and the whole world thought this midseason when everyone thought he was getting traded to the Dolphins, I don't even want to say half of us didn't want him. Like, it was like 80% of Dolphin fans seemed like they wanted Watson. And there was a very small percentage of people who didn't want Watson. And there's only like 1% who just absolutely knew he wasn't coming. So anyway, that being said, I asked Steve, I'm like, hey, knowing what we know now, seeing what's going on in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, knowing that would have been here in Miami, the circus would have been huge, way bigger than what the market is in Cleveland. Would have been crazy. Would you still have made that trade for Deshaun Watson? That's the question. That's the question I asked Steve. And he was like, hey, bro, you could ask me on the podcast. I know, I'm just being respectful. You know what I'm saying? But so shout out to ShareRide Steve for bringing that back up, because I kind of forgot. But what you got, Steve? Would you still have done that trade back then?
Yeah, so when you asked me that, I responded, that's a loaded question. That's a good question. That's something I couldn't respond to in a text.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I put some thought into it, and and I was a fan of getting Watson, even knowing his legal trouble at the time. And I don't know what it's like on the other side of the pond, Kadeem, but I know here in the States, our society is very forgiving. We tend to, if someone falls, especially, I mean, from grace, I'm talking like, flying high, and they fall hard, you can build yourself back up. Let's look at Tiger Woods as a perfect example. That guy was just trashed. You didn't I'm me being one of them, never thought he'd really come back. I thought he was just going to spiral out of control and not even golf anymore. And not only did he come back, but he's like better than ever. You can do that, but there's circumstances. I'm not trying to be funny about or cute, but like Ray Rice, he wasn't able to rebound in his situation. Right. There's other guys that I won't mention. I was going to. So yeah, to me, it's right now he's in the muck of it. It's like it's easy to say that oh God, I don't want that now, but in 2 years, if he's building homes, like work done, what a terrific person that guy is. He has an amazing foundation building homes for families. His only fault is he's a Seminole, but we'll leave that out. He built.
You said Warwick Dunn. Is that what you just said?
Warwick Dunn, yeah.
Running
back from Florida State. Yeah. He's built like hundreds of homes for families.
And Watson came up through there.
Yep. Yeah. And he built Watson's home when he was a child. And so you think, and I know Watson never had any bad pub on him previous. He was known to be a good guy. Like there was nothing negative. And I'm sure he has given back a lot that we don't really hear about. Someone builds you a house like that, I'm sure he's done a lot of similar things like that. So my thing is, I can forgive. I understand it's pretty egregious. It's continuing. There's 2 more lawsuits that just happened like yesterday or the day before. I'm really happy where we're at with the Dolphins. So I'm not trying to talk out both sides of my mouth with this question, but I will say no, that ultimately I'm glad we didn't get him, but because I am happy with McDaniel, I'm excited. I'm a guy that likes to run the ball, play action. I think that works in the playoffs. It's consistent, that style. And Watson would fit that style fantastically as well. But ultimately, the circus would be a little too much. It's refreshing right now. We're in such a happy place that it's just like, man, I wouldn't want to be, turning on the TV constantly and hearing about it. And yeah, that's just the summit.
Bro,
I think it works either way.
It's okay to switch it up. Like when you get more information, you can change your opinion about the situation. Although there was a lot of information before, not saying, and this has nothing to do with if he's guilty or innocent or not. This is, do you want this person going through this situation on your football team? That's it. That has nothing to do with anything else. Did you want to say something about that, Kadeem? To add to it or anything?
Yeah, it's so interesting to see what athletes or famous people in general can come back from. There's always a level where it's like it's a step too far. Ray Rice is an interesting one. I think simply his age and his position meant that teams weren't going to touch him because he had no value in the league. You know, if his name is Kareem Hunt or someone else and he's that age, then it's not another issue. Do you know what I mean? And the thing with, I've seen a lot of Browns fans, and I guess NFL media kind of say this as well, is that the Browns probably expected some kind of suspension, but this trade wasn't for this season. It's for down the line. So I guess the Browns are probably thinking, for them, worst case scenario, if he misses a year, we've got the following years. We'll take hit on a year. In terms of that happening in Miami, I made it I won't say I made it crystal clear. I think I did. I can't remember at this point. But while those allegations were over his head and he hadn't been found guilty or not guilty, I didn't want to touch him. And like I said, it's one thing whether you want to believe he done it or not. That's a whole other conversation. But if he's cleared of everything once again in the next court process, then it's an easier sell to any fan base that this guy, in the eyes of the law, hasn't done anything wrong. You can think he's done something wrong, but where it really matters, in a court of law, then he's innocent. And at that point, I think in terms of being a Miami fan, I would have hated it. It's easier to swallow, but you don't have to like it, if that makes sense. Had what he's going through now, I've seen a lot of Browns fans saying, nah, this is too much. It's like every week there's another person coming out and saying that he's done this and all that kind of stuff. But to bring it, to close off for me and the whole Miami situation, I'm so glad that we haven't touched him, or we didn't officially, trade for him, and to be going through it as a Miami fan and him being on that team. Nah, awful, disgusting. Like, not for me at all.
Like, can you imagine? We traded for Watson and we were a game away. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're a game away from the playoffs, and suddenly, he's suspended for a season. So now we don't have a quarterback. Like, because we probably would have traded Tua. You know what I'm saying? So there's no telling where the team would have been without a quarterback and going through what we're going through. Bro, there's a chance that this man gets the longest suspension in the history of the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger got 6 games. Ezekiel Elliott got 6 games. They're not going to give Deshaun Watson 8 games. It's not going to happen.
Ridley got a year for betting. Like,
that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Like, Calvin really got a year, one whole year for compromising the integrity of the betting scene in the NFL. You telling me
$100 bet on his own team? That's what he did. And look at Watson's situation. I agree. It's insane that Ridley automatically gets a year.
Yeah,
that's unfair.
Bro, I think the NFL put themselves in a bad situation right now. Like, if Ridley gets a year, and Roethlisberger and Ezekiel Elliott got 6 games, and the suspension for Watson is in between 6 games and a year, they're in trouble. Bro. And again, I want to be clear: you don't suspend somebody on law, criminal. Like, this is what the criminal court found. It's just about the image of the NFL. That's what you get suspended for in the NFL. I want to be very clear. So just because Watson wasn't found guilty or not, they don't suspend them based on that. They suspend them on premise of the image of the NFL. And right now, this is the worst image the NFL has ever had with one player. So for really to get a year, you would think you would think Watson would get more than that. But we're about to close, man. Shout out to
So very quickly though, but I think what the NFL will argue is if he gets less than a year, is that what Watson done doesn't bring in, doesn't question any game being fixed or anything like that. There's no inside, Ridley's betting on games could potentially come from inside information, even though I'm pretty sure they said it didn't ruin any games or anything like that. The NFL will kind of see it as a deterrent for any other player. If you even think about betting on an NFL game and you can have anyone bring an argument to say that this team lost because there was money on it, the NFL cannot have that. As opposed to what you do in your own time, the NFL generally don't care. Yes, it will look bad on them, so we have to punish you, but you being, disgustingly dirty when you're at home or in the club or stuff like that, the NFL don't care about that to a degree. And I think that's why it will be, we'll ban you for 8 games because you've made us look bad, but you haven't questioned the integrity of the league, which is why Ridley got a year. It's ridiculous and it's stupid, but like you said, players who have been accused of similar stuff, and it's like 4-6 games, yeah, whatever. Just get back on the field at some point, and it's all good.
I think there's a little bit more to that too. But let me go here. Shout out to Same Old Dolphins show, Josh Kasker. He's going to be a part of our Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League. ShareRide Steve played in the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League last year. He's going to come back. The returning champion Nick Kerr is coming back. And before we go, so anyone who wants to play in the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League, email us gotimedolphins@gmail.com and we'll lock you in this PPR league. But before we go, I wanted to say this. We got 2 Dolphin dads on the podcast right now. Happy Father's Day, fellas. Y'all live it up, man. One day I'm going to get to that club of the Dolphin dad. You know what I'm saying? But y'all live up y'all holiday, man. I hope y'all do it big.